Welcome to this edition of the Forum. I'm your host, Sheila Evans. We have a fantastic show in store for you today with an outstanding lineup of guests. We get our show started today by talking with Lori Taylor, the Vice President of Development for the Lower Cape Fear Hospice and Life Care Center. She's here to discuss the long-standing holiday tradition, the Cape Fear Festival of Trees. Then we're joined by Janine Powell, Director of Donor Relations for Airlie Gardens. She tells us about another holiday tradition in our area, the 2014 Enchanted Airlie. And finally, Jane Bernbach, Senior Development Director with the Good Shepherd Center, stops by, and she will share with us all the details on their programs and services, as well as tell us about their winter needs. We've got a great edition of the Forum for you today. We'll get started right after this short break.
Abandoned and lost. From the dark, cold streets of the city to a cage in the local shelter, to heaven, your lap.
Have you heard of the Teen Court program? Teen Court is an alternative system of justice where first-time teen offenders are tried by their peers for misdemeanor offenses. Student volunteers from local high schools assume the roles of the court staff, empowering them to take responsibility for problems of crime and violence in their schools and community. If you know someone who may benefit from Teen Court or would like to become involved, contact the Community Mediation Center on the web or by calling 362-8000.
I am joined by Lori Taylor. She is Vice President of Development for Lower Cape Fear Hospice and Life Care Center. And we are here today to talk about the Festival of Trees.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Well, it's a almost a 30-year tradition in Wilmington. We started it with a group of volunteers about 30 years ago, and we ended it at 25 years, and now we're into a new I guess, realm, and it's 3 years with the Cameron.
Okay, so after 25 is when it stopped at the Hilton?
That's correct.
Okay, and then you just found a new home to keep the tradition going?
Well, I think the community really wanted it to come back. Every year they would call us and they say, where is it? And we'd say it's not happening, and so a couple of really dedicated volunteers came back, and it's got a new life.
Very good. How does it benefit hospice?
The net proceeds of this, with the partnership with the Cameron, the net proceeds from the sponsorship of the tree support our mission and our services, our end-of-life services.
Okay. Does the partnership provide anything else between the two groups?
Well, it's beneficial, I think, for both of us in that the Cameron has a beautiful venue. And it really, I think it's a great partnership in that these trees are in a beautiful setting, and they get the sponsorships from the event and the admissions, and they've started a couple of new activities during the week, or the couple of weeks. It is, they're doing gingerbread houses.
Fun.
And they're also doing breakfast with Santa. And we're kicking off the Party with the Pines on November, I believe it's 18th. Can't read my writing, but I think it's that first Friday.
Okay. Do you have other events there as well?
No, we're just providing the trees, and that's enough work for us to corral 25 sponsors, and then not every of this. It really is, and not every sponsor wants to decorate their tree, so we're always looking for volunteers to go out and either make ornaments and decorations and decorate a tree, and of course the Cameron would love them to be as artistic as possible. And so, for instance, one of the trees this year is going to be by the Clay Guild, and it's all handmade clay ornaments. One of the trees is, I can't remember which school, but it's a school who are making origami ornaments. And then there's going to be your traditional type of trees that you would love to have in your house and wish you had had the time and effort to and resources to decorate a tree that beautifully. So I mean, it's going to be like, there's a frozen tree which I think the kids will have fun with. There's one that's elves at work, which is just going to be too darn cute. And I think everybody will find something that they really enjoy.
Are there 25 trees?
25 trees this year.
And some folks don't they sponsor but don't want to decorate it.
Yeah,
so
I think they, one of the comments is, we're just not that.
I don't feel I'm that artistic either.
Yes, exactly. And so they want to sponsor a tree and help Lower Cape Fear Hospice, but at the same time. And so that's part of our coordination, is going out and finding people who, for instance, Fiore Flowers is going to be decorating a tree this year. So I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can show off their expertise.
Exactly.
I rarely put an ornament on the tree at my house, so I'm like one of your sponsors. What's one of the biggest challenges?
Well, I think for the event, it's logistics. When the event is over and done, all those trees have to be wrapped up carefully and delivered to the sponsors. And so finding people who will help with trucks and delivery, that's a big challenge for the event.
Sense, yeah.
As an agency, our biggest challenge is, we often hear from our families that I wish we had called sooner. And so that, as an agency providing end-of-life care, that's our challenge, is going out and finding families and those who want and need our care but are willing to accept the philosophy. And I think that's probably our biggest challenge.
How do you seek those people out?
It's a variety of different ways. It's just like anyone else. We go and we visit doctors' offices and educate the doctors. They're very curative, and hospice is palliative, meaning that it's not curative.
Right.
We provide services that are comfort. They don't hasten death, they don't end death any sooner or any later, but it's all about comfort and care, and it's also holistic in that we provide services for the whole family. It's not just about the patient, because everyone's going through this journey together.
True.
And so, educating the doctors in the medical community, even though we've been around for a long time, it's still, if you don't need it and understand it.
I can see that.
Yeah, and then also it's educating the community. Because if you have a sick parent and someone who's been going in and out of the hospital multiple times, had multiple heart attacks, it's not all about cancer, and you're needing help to take care, if you're the caregiver, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a parent, it's time for you to call and at least ask. It may not, we'll determine if they're appropriate or not, and if they're not, we help you with those services. But it's really about trying to find those services.
Do you coordinate the services at home as well?
Absolutely. Over 90% of our patients are served at home. And that's where they want to be.
Yeah.
Our care centers are only there for families and patients who can't be served at home anymore, and for various reasons.
Would it be their medical needs primarily?
Primarily medical needs. It's really for the last 5-7 days, 2 weeks, very restless if they can't manage their medicines at home, chronic pain. The family can't manage
it.
Right.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, patients want to be at home in their own bed. I do.
Right, right.
And that's where you want to be. And so that we will work with the family as much as possible to meet those wants and desires.
Gotcha. So how can the listening audience get involved with the Festival of Trees?
Well, this year we've got all our decorators lined up, but if you're interested in decorating next year, now's the time to go out and get your ornaments and start thinking about your themes for next year, or buying them after Christmas at the sale, or start making them. So we're always looking for decorators. If you've got some big, strong men, we could use some help in delivering the trees.
Okay.
That's always the logistics. Like I said, 25 trees, wrapping them and moving them in and out of the camera and in and out of, so that's a big deal. But in overall hospice, we're always in need of volunteers, whether it's helping with patients, sitting with them, whether it's working at our care centers, helping us with events, because we have multiple events throughout the year, and we're always looking for people to help, so give us a call.
Very good. Well, Lori, thank you for coming by and giving us the details about Festival of Trees, and we'll be back in a few minutes right after these messages.
Who was president? The years 1989 to 1993. As a Navy pilot, he won the Distinguished Flying Cross. During his administration, the Cold War ended. He sent troops to invade Iraq. If you guessed George Bush, you're right. He was the 41st President of the United States. This presidential pop quiz has been brought to you by New Hanover County Schools on the Learning Network, Time Warner Cable Channel 5.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
I am joined by Janine Powell. She's Director of Donor Relations for Airlie Gardens, and we're here to talk about Enchanted Airlie.
It's that time of year.
Tell us about it.
So Enchanted Airlie, this is our 10th anniversary. So we've been doing this since 2005, and it's a great Wilmington family tradition. It's our holiday light show, so we have about 37 acres of the gardens lit, and we have live Santa Claus and lots of different displays for people to walk through and have a great evening.
Nice. How long does it take to put all those lights up?
So it takes a full year
Really?
to plan,
Oh, wow.
to string, and to execute all the lights. The actual lights don't start going up till late September, early October, but there's a lot of prep work ahead of that.
You have to make sure all the lights are working and that kind
We
of fun
do.
stuff?
We
Oh,
have
Lord.
to check every single strand, and so that's time consuming. And this year we did some math that we probably didn't want to know and found out that we have our cone lights alone are 19 and a half miles worth of strands of lights.
Oh, wow. Do you know how many lights you have?
We are at this point well over 500,000 lights.
Wow, that sounds exciting. Anything new for this year? You said this is the 10th year. You doing anything to celebrate?
We are doing a lot to celebrate.
Okay.
So we've got one spot that is coordinated sound and music. That'll be brand new. We've expanded our Enchanted Forest. And in the classroom, we will have the Winter Princesses, Elsa and Anna. So that'll be brand new for us this year.
Gotcha. So walk us through what it looks like when we drive in.
So you drive up the Airlie driveway, it's dark, you park, you get out of your car, and immediately you start to see the twinkling lights
Right.
throughout the gardens. It's great because it's a self-guided tour. There's no wrong or right way to go. It depends on what you want to do with your family. Some families like to go straight to Santa Claus, get that out of the way,
Okay.
and then at a leisurely pace, walk the rest of the gardens.
Do you sell a limited amount of tickets?
We do. We are
Okay.
limited every night by how many cars we can park.
Oh.
That's why we sell carload passes. So we have 2 times, 5 to 7 or 7 to 9 every night that we run. And that's really based on the number of cars we can park.
Gotcha. And they have to be purchased in advance?
They have to be purchased in advance. And as a matter of fact, we are almost sold out for the first weekend,
Oh,
which
wow.
starts the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Wow. Do you sell out all the time?
The last 2 weeks, we always sell out, and this year sales are about triple what they were the same time last year, so we're anticipating full sellouts.
So if you drive up and it looks like everybody's visiting Santa Claus, you can just take your time and go do something else.
Right, you can go to Poinsettia Paradise, where we have more than 400 poinsettia plants in a
Aw.
beautiful tent.
I love
You can
those.
go see the Winter Princesses, and you can start strolling through the gardens.
Now, how do folks get tickets?
You can go online to Airlie Gardens, www.airliegardens.org, or you can come in our gift shop any day from 9 to 4.
Okay. And is it a guided tour, or do you have to walk? You talked about the carload, but that reflects the parking ability.
Right, so it is a walking tour.
Okay.
We have some wheelchairs available on a first come, first served basis if you've got somebody with mobility issues, so that you can push them around. But it's almost all paved paths, and so
Okay.
it's an easy walk. And again, it is based on parking, not necessarily that you're going to drive through.
Okay. Do you have any themes this year?
Our themes are more broad, just the twinkling lights. In certain areas, we have different theme displays. So for our Minnie Evans Bottle Chapel, we have bottle trees that are lit.
Oh, fun.
And then towards our dock, we have some dock and ocean theme areas.
Very good. Now, is there something about trains?
We have no trains this year.
Okay.
So we've done trains for 9 years. And so this year we decided for our 10th anniversary, we're going to mix it up and bring in something new.
How many folks does it take to put this on?
So we have a tiny staff. There's only 14 of us, and so it's all hands on deck, and then we rely heavily on volunteers. So every night of Enchanted Airlie requires about 20 to 25 people to help manage the crowds, do parking, keep all the lights on, run the gift shop, all of those good things.
Okay. Would this ever be something that high school students could do for their National Honor Society hours or Beta Club hours?
Sure. We always are interested in having new volunteers, and that's a great way to do your community service hours is to volunteer at Airlie.
And what would that look like? Would they show up like before 7 and be there the whole night? Is that what you would
So
think?
normally it depends on their schedule. We're pretty flexible. We try not to do 4-hour stints for our volunteers. So usually we schedule them for 2 hours. And so they could do something like be Santa Claus's helper and help manage the line at Santa Claus and hand out prizes from Santa.
Now, what kind of plans are there for Airlie after the Enchanted Airlie?
So after Enchanted Airlie, we roll right into spring bloom, preparations for our busiest time in the garden. So, you know, we have over 100,000 azaleas that will be blooming in the spring. We plant 80,000 bulbs in January and February, so tulips and daffodils that are also there for spring bloom. And then this summer we'll have another summer exhibit by local artist Dume Gorham.
Very good. And what else keeps you busy?
You know, we have more than 110,000 visitors from all 50 states and 47 countries. Right now we've had The Choice in Sleepy Hollow filming in the gardens.
Oh, fun.
So we have something
Always
going
something
on
going on
every day.
And again, if those high schoolers want to volunteer, do they get up with you?
They actually can go on our website and fill out a form. So www.airliegardens.org.
Very good. That's something fun for them to do. And they can see the lights while they're volunteering.
Absolutely. It's a great way to go to Enchanted.
Janine, thanks for giving us all the information on Enchanted Airlie, and we'll be back in a few minutes right after these messages.
All right, guys, we gotta be smarter about what we bite on, okay? I want everyone to go outside. We're gonna run Red Rover on 3.
What about you, Tony?
I'm gonna run around in circles, flatten my arms, and make engine noises like this.
When it comes to playing, we kids are the pros.
We're eating right, too.
We fuel up
to play 60.
If your school doesn't have a program, be a leader. Start one.
Click today and join the movement.
Listen up, energy hogs. Get in there and waste some energy.
There's no insulation, boss. It's hog heaven.
Time to tan.
Keep wasting. They'll never know what hit them.
What the?
Boss, they're home, and they've got energy-efficient bulbs. Ah!
You've got the power to get rid of energy hogs. You can add insulation and lots of other things. Get the tips you need at energyhog.org and play fun games, too. Get the energy hogs out of your home.
Hey, wait for me!
My next guest is Jane Bernbach. She's the Senior Development Director with the Good Shepherd Center. And Jane, I guess we're transitioning into holiday times. Tell us what goes on at Good Shepherd around the holidays.
Well, pretty much the same thing that goes on all year round.
Okay.
People tend to be very philanthropic this time of the year, and then they forget that we're still doing that same hard work in February and March and April and May. But there's a lot of donations coming in. We have a lot of volunteers supporting us. We see the numbers rise in the shelter this time of the year, so there's a lot of activity going on.
Is that due to weather?
Yes, the colder it gets outside, obviously, the more that we're...
Do you have any different needs over the holidays?
Actually, we do.
Okay.
We, like most organizations, we need more funding through the last quarter of the year, and we hope that people will give generously at this time of the year. We have more needs for food because our numbers are going up, so anyone who wants to do a food drive, we are very grateful for the food that comes in. The one thing we do not need are coats. Everybody wants to do a coat drive, and so over the years we have collected quite an abundance of coats. So we're covered in that area, but scarves and hats and gloves, and we actually have about 8 children staying in the shelter right now, so kids' clothing is very helpful. as far as coats, we're well covered in that area.
Okay. And we talked about maybe a food drive, but what other kind of volunteer opportunities?
Well, we actually have a group today from a local bank that is helping to spruce up our family lounge for the holidays and doing a festive bulletin board, sanitizing all the toys. This is, cold and flu season, so helping to keep our place clean and fresh and germ-free.
Okay. Past November, anything coming up?
We will do our 12th annual golf tournament in the spring at Landfall Golf Tournament. Nice. And we will do again the Flavor of North Carolina, which was a first time this year that was so successful. We're going to repeat that next year, where we have local chefs come in and prepare foods, and we have beverages and music that are indicative of North Carolina to remind us that we have a shared home. So that was a wonderful event we did this year, and we're going to repeat that next year.
Did that happen at the center?
That was actually also at St. James Parish.
Oh, okay.
So we will do that again. And then our Brunswick Golf Tournament this next year will be the 4th annual. So those are our events for 2015.
You're growing.
We are.
Tell us about programs at Good Shepherd.
Well, in addition to our day shelter, which is available for folks who need to come in, get a change of clothes, take a shower, use the telephone, receive mail, perhaps take a visit to our medical clinic that's on site. We also have a night shelter. We have 118 beds for men, women, and families with children. Last year we served about 75,000 meals in our soup kitchen. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
We do breakfast and lunch every day for the community from Monday to Friday. Anyone who's hungry can come in and get a good, hot, nutritious meal, and then dinner every evening for our night shelter guests. So we're very proud of the programs. We have grown since 1983 from a small soup kitchen in the basement of a church to providing a day shelter, a night shelter, a medical clinic. We have our Sergeant Eugene Ashley Memorial Center where we house veterans, and that program continues to grow. And now we're really committed to projects around affordable housing, because we know that that's the only way we're going to end homelessness, is to have some affordable housing.
Good point. Tell us about kids that you have at the Good Shepherd.
Well, as I said, we have 8 children in the shelter right now, and that varies from time to time depending on who's visiting. But we have a grandmother, for example, right now who got permanent custody of her 3 grandchildren, and we're trying to help her get back on her feet. It's not just as simple as helping her to find a job, but daycare for the children as well. So that's one of the challenges we are currently working around. And, it's tough for the children around the holidays, so we're trying to make it as happy and festive as possible for them.
And do they get to stay longer because it's a home base for them?
Not necessarily than any other guest, but the average stay is about 30 days. We ask that folks are working their plan, whether that be looking for a job or getting their disability benefits, going back to school, working with our case managers to work a plan to get back into housing and independence in the community. So it really varies on a case-by-case basis. No one ever wants to see children in a shelter, and we do our best to rehouse those folks. We also try and make it as home-like as possible. We have family rooms specifically for the families with children, so it's a little different than staying in the dorm where the men and the women stay. And we have a family lounge where there's a television and games and children's books so that they can feel a little more at home while they're in a shelter environment.
While they're in the shelter, do they get to go to school where they were?
Yes, they can. The buses will come and pick them up first and drop them off last, so no one has to know that this little Johnny or whoever is staying in a shelter, and that's pretty important.
Very good. How much money do you need at the Good Shepherd?
A lot. Our budget is about $1.7 million, and that is to provide all of these programs and services. Last year we rehoused 150 men, women, and families with children. We saw 600 unduplicated folks in our shelter. So it takes a lot of money to rehouse folks, and that's really our commitment, is beyond the hot meal and the warm bed. We want to take folks out of that transitional housing and put them back in independence and stability in the community, and that's the harder, more expensive work.
Gotcha. You said the average stay is about 30 days?
Yes.
With some kind of plan in place?
Right. And it varies. Some are there much shorter days, and some need to be there a little bit longer, but they work with our case managers and work their plans so that ultimately we want to get them back into their own independence.
Gotcha. Any new programs on the horizon?
Actually, yes, we have a new initiative called Lakeside Reserve, where we are committed to building 40 individual apartment units for disabled adults who are homeless. And we will hopefully be breaking ground in 2015 for that project. We're very excited.
Very nice. Well, Jane, thanks for coming in and sharing the holiday needs. And if someone wants to donate or volunteer, how do they get up with you?
They just need to call us at Good Shepherd. The number is 910-763-4424, and we'll be happy to match them to a need and make it a meaningful experience for them.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back in a few minutes right after these messages. We hope you've enjoyed our program today. The Cape Fear Festival of Trees runs from Saturday, November 2nd until Sunday, December 7th at the Cameron Art Museum. Festival hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. For more information on the festival or on the Lower Cape Fear Hospice and Life Care Center, call 796-7942. To learn more about this year's Enchanted Airlie, you can visit the website www.airliegardens.org or call 798-7700. Enchanted Airlie runs on select days from November 28th until December 22nd. If you would like to donate or volunteer with the Good Shepherd Center, you can call 763-4424 extension 110. To learn more about their programs and services, you can visit their website at www.goodshepherdwilmington.org. Now, if you ever have any questions about the topics discussed here on our show today, please call the school system's public relations office at 254-4180 or check out the school system's website at www.nhcs.net. I'm Sheila Evans. Thanks for joining me today.